here's the thing, man. Here's the reality of all of this, the scary stuff that we're talking about, the agenda, the targeting, the manipulation, the deception, right? The grooming, all of that stuff to me is grooming, because if you're doing things behind my back, if you're targeting children with sexually explicit content, you are a groomer. I don't care if you're heterosexual or homosexual. The definition is the same for everybody. You target children, you are, by definition, a groomer. Now, I want you to see this video, and this is why I'm so concerned about all of this that's going on, in addition to everything that we just talked about.
So-called all-ages drag shows are popping up all over the country. Drag shows for kids. One of them was held the other day in Austin, Texas.
You're huge. It's awesome that you're here tonight. Thank you for being here. You're so awesome. Are you having a good time? What's your favorite part?
Nothing.
I saw you guys with your mom in the meet and greet. Where's Melinda, the mom? Melinda, right? Wait, tell me your name again. Sonia, we need more mothers like you in the world.
How old are you?
9.
You're 9? Oh my God, oh, look at that. Vicky Pepper's mom is out here. Hello, you're reaching for my Are you hungry? It's like, mommy.
Yeah, in case you were wondering if they were targeting kids, they're literally targeting kids. Here's more footage from the same event.
Never let us root on. Join it any man day. I've been working so hard. I've actually worked my butthole right off. Look at that. Look at that. It's gone.
So GLAAD is for this? Human Rights Campaign is for this? Oh, they're for it. It's happening all over the country. It's part of a national tour called the Drag Queen Christmas, 36 shows in 18 different states. The reason you know what it's like inside and not just relying on the lies of NBC News and the Washington Post is because Taylor Hanson, an independent journalist, went there and got that footage with the help of the Texas Family Project. Twitter immediately suspended Hanson for telling the truth about what was going on. Amazingly, Taylor Hanson joins us tonight. Taylor, thanks so much for coming on. So I think your video basically answers my questions. This wasn't an adult thing. This was a kid thing, or kids there. That was the point, right?
Yeah, you're completely right, Tucker. I mean, this was marketed towards children in the flyer itself. It literally says all ages. And I don't know about you, I mean, but the video that I watched, it does not entitle anything that includes, you know, it's appropriate for all ages in this.
I mean, I'll let our audience come to their own conclusions about why someone would intentionally target children for this. And let me just say, if there were no kids there, we wouldn't be putting this on the air because it wouldn't be our business. But with kids there, it is, I think. Why would you be banned from telling the truth about what was going on inside, do you think?
Yeah, it's very interesting that, you know, I was almost immediately suspended after reporting on this and having it hit breaking news. You know, the reason why I would be banned is because you have fake reporters, you know, like Will Carless from USA Today, amongst many other sources that want to come out and say, you know, there are no children there. I mean, they flat out deny this, even though that these children are essentially on video being sexually groomed. I mean, there's no other way to put it, is these children are being groomed by adults.
So, and outlets like USA Today pretend that they lie and they say that's not happening when this video shows that it is. Why would they want to cover that up?
I really think it's all about the narrative game here. As you know, I've heard of something called drag phobia. That's been popping up pretty recently in my mentions. You know, and I guess if, I don't really know what that means, but if drag phobia means that I am against, you know, full-grown men dressed as women, sexually dancing and committing lewd acts in front of minors intentionally, then, you know, you could consider me drag phobic, to say the least.
Yeah, I would say. Where are the dads here? I mean, why doesn't anyone put a stop to this? Again, just to be completely clear, doing this to kids is a crime, and it's certainly a moral crime, and I'm just amazed that people sit back and let it happen. But Taylor Hanson, thank you.
I'm glad you mentioned the dads, Tucker.
Yes, please, go ahead.
There actually is a common reoccurrence is there are no dads there 99% of the time. Is a lot of the people that bring these kids to these shows are single mothers who, happen to be obese. I don't know if there's a pattern there or what. I mean, but if people are repulsed just like I am at recording this video, they can visit defendkidstx.com to personally help me here.
Appreciate it. Taylor Hanson, good to see you.
What do you think about that?
Man, when he talked about the dads, that kind of hit home. Because as a father, I feel like part of my role is as a protector. And, my wife was like, hey, it kind of comes across to me like you feel good when you're acting as the protector. And I'm like, yeah, it does. That's partly what I do as a father. Now, that doesn't mean to overreact or anything like that, but where are the fathers? I don't know how this is. It is shocking to see that happened, and it was like nobody got arrested or anything, right? Nothing happened off of that. That was in Texas.
Yeah, in Texas, no, I don't think so. Here in Florida, there's been some back and forth. This all happened last, I want to say either 2023 or 2022. I want to say 2022. This was in 2022.
Christmas. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so there were some issues, and Ron DeSantis passed a bill down here in Florida making it illegal for you to have these type of inappropriate thing. If you have an inappropriate venue, to have children there, right? To have minors. As a matter of fact, here let's bring this up because this is pretty interesting. This was a parade that got canceled here. This was a parade that got canceled here in Florida. Now, this is from CBS, so you already know that they're pulling, right? So the headline is Florida Gay Pride Parade canceled after anti-drag show law passes. Okay, so a Port St. Lucie gay parade has been canceled, and other pride events have been restricted to people 21 years and older in anticipation of Republican Governor Ron DeSantis signing a bill meant to keep children out of drag shows. Okay, so it's meant to keep children out of drag shows. Why are you canceling it? Why don't you just, as adults, go have fun, go entertain yourself, go do whatever you want? But no, you want to have kids there. Again. This is perverted. This is grooming.
It almost shows that was the whole purpose. Why would you, like you said, why would you, the whole purpose probably looks like to me, somebody would have to explain to me why I am wrong, that looks like the purpose was to bring the kids there.
And so the guys here, the disguise that they're trying to portray is that Ron DeSantis is against drag shows. Let me tell you something. I worked in Tampa, in Ybor City, for many years. And right across the street, during my break, I would go to this pizzeria. It was right across the street. Next to the pizzeria, or maybe like 2 stores down, there's a gay bar. A drag bar. And they have drag shows like almost every night or whatever. They have gay performers come out, and they, it's very like they show the posters there. Okay, that's been there for years. No one's ever had an issue with that establishment. But guess what? Now that you want to bring kids into it, now we do have a problem. And now apparently that bothers you. I don't understand why. Oh, I actually do understand why.
Whew. Yeah, that's, they did the same thing with the Don't Say Gay. They called it a Don't Say Gay bill when that's completely not what it was. And I'm hoping that thing wakes people up because the lies actually wake me up. Even if you agree with this type of stuff, you should be wondering why they're lying. If you agree with this type of stuff, then just be proud about it and own it and make your case for it. Why does it have to happen secretly or quietly or lying about it? If you're doing something good, you don't need to lie about it.
But they already told us you're going to do it secretly, right? We're going to do it quietly, right? Because
so that's intent.
They know they're doing something wrong. But
yeah, that's intent.
Yeah, absolutely. That guy looked suspicious. Again, all in that where the camera pans out and you see everybody they're all men. Mm-hmm. I wonder how many of those have some type of a record. I wonder how many of those have something going on that they don't. Some skeleton in their closet.
I would bet a lot. I did see people looked into the choir one, and they did. I don't want to say it definitively because I didn't corroborate myself, but people were posting that they could find records that would be relevant to our topic today with some of the background of those people. I'm not surprising.
I'm sure. And again, the way they silence you is the same way that they silence anybody. If you're a Republican, you're automatically a racist. Look, like I've told you before, I got called a racist. I was told I don't like black people in 2015 for the first time in my life, even though I grew up in a neighborhood where it was half black and half Hispanic. But I hate black people. Why? Because I disagree with Obama. And yet the person I was voting for was Ben Carson before I became a Trumper. So you're indirectly telling me that I'm a racist because I don't like Obama, so I don't like black people. But I'm voting for Carson, who last time I checked is also black. But then he's not really black. You've said it yourself, right? Mm-hmm. He's not. You and him both lost your black card, didn't you?
They took it from us. Yeah, and they're not giving it back. I actually think Trump should look at him as VP, but that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, that would be. So I got two more videos. We'll wrap up. This one's from Glenn Greenwald that we actually watched, but he says something in this interview with Megyn Kelly that I really want us to focus in on because it's exactly what we're talking about. And again, to remind everybody, Glenn Greenwald is gay.
Yeah, look, I mean, the gay and lesbian movement was an important part of my life. It's what enabled me to be legally married. It was something I supported for a long time. And the linchpin of it is something that not only I believe, but that most Americans ended up believing. There was a cultural consensus in the United States, and it was based on the principle that adults have the right to live their lives in whatever way they think will bring them the most self-actualization, and that a healthy, decent society facilitates that freedom and doesn't impede it. And if you look at polling data in 2015, most Americans favored same-sex marriage, even young conservatives, and even people had no problem with trans adults. They thought trans people should have basic legal protections. They shouldn't be kicked out of their apartments. They shouldn't be fired from their jobs. All of that has unraveled because the LGBTQIA+2 movement, or whatever acronym you prefer, has basically waged a war on that principle. There were people chanting in the streets, we're coming for your children. The San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus sung a song that said, we're coming for your children. They want to indoctrinate people's children. They're claiming that you are required to get certain trans-affirming treatment for your children if they identify as trans, even if you don't want them to, and that you could be deemed guilty of child abuse and have your children taken away if you don't. The whole movement has transformed from one, we want to be left alone and live our lives the way we want, to no, actually, we want to control your lives too and make your kids think what we want them to think and even influence the way they grow up. And this has unraveled that consensus. And this is all part of it. This is a movement that was once a marginalized community in the United States, didn't have much power, had to hide, was genuinely persecuted. They now have every institution of power on their side. They know it, and it's become a bullying movement. And this idea that we're going to go out into the streets publicly in front of your kids and be fully naked and sexualize that nudity, and you can't do anything about it, is the mentality of a movement that believes, in this case with good reason, that they are now sort of the majority, that they have the power. And they're using it in ways that are very self-destructive.
What do you think about that?
That's what I want to, it's very important for someone like you mentioned, he is gay, for somebody who is openly gay to be able to say, because I would think that they would be some of the most upset at this, because it's really creating, like, it's not backlash against anybody for being gay. I've always liked Glenn. He's great. I have no problem with him. But when you talk about these topics, like you said, it's easy for people to try to portray you as being bad, and you need someone who is gay and disagrees to be vocal. And I really believe that about the black topic too, even if you're not considered black. And I believe that about women too. If biological men are invading women's spaces, I know my wife doesn't let me get away with anything. So I think you've got to be, as a woman, you've got to be vocal. And I appreciate, my biggest thing is I appreciate Glenn. He comes across authentic, and people call him right-winger now, and that's wild. He's a leftist. I mean, maybe a classic leftist, but I appreciate Glenn a lot.
Absolutely. He's actually your classic libertarian, right? And so, I mean, look, the reality is that this is what a normal gay person looks like. A gay person just wants to focus on themselves and their partner, whoever that may be, but it's an adult partner, right? Listen, my family, I grew up with having gay people around, so it's nothing new, right? We had like 3 family friends that were gay. Never one of them ever wanted to teach me about being gay, talk to me about being gay, tried to look at me in a gay manner. I mean, that's what a classic gay person is. But this movement that's going on now, these people that were at that drag show and so on and so forth, they've been hijacked. The movement has been hijacked. He mentioned things like control, influence, power, and it's all being done to bully others, right? It's a bully movement. So it's no longer a equal rights type of thing because they have it. It's become a bully. We want to come after your kids and you can't stop us.
Yep, and he called it out for that. That's crossing the boundaries. I don't want anybody to do any type of bullying. I don't care what your goal is. We can't have that.
Correct. The last video that I have for you is there's a group of people called Gays Against Groomer. We've mentioned them here on this channel. Here's the New York president, the New York chapter president, speaking out at a child's drag show event. Let's take a listen.
Out here protesting. Hey, how you doing? So can you just tell us why are you out here protesting today?
I'm here because drag is not for kids. We have over here an event, Drag Queen Story Hour for 6 to 11 years old. Drag Queen is adult entertainment. It's about sexualized performance. It's about cross-sex dressing. It's about a fetish, and none of it should be available for children. They're reading them the kids books about gender ideology, confusing them and leading them down this destructive path of gender dysphoria and gender ideology, and that girls can be boys and boys can be girls, and it's all a lie.
Now, obviously this is a very volatile subject on both sides of the aisle. Do you see there being a middle ground between what the progressive left wants and, for instance, what the conservative right wants, and what that would look like? For instance, do you believe gender ideology should be taught in schools?
No, I don't believe. I am representing an organization called Gays Against Groomers. I'm the New York chapter leader. Gays Against Groomers is a coalition of gays and lesbians who are standing up against the sexualization, indoctrination of children under the guise of LGBT. What is happening, the reason they're teaching these children about gender ideology is because they're trying to normalize pedophilia and using us as shields. I don't think that there's any room for teaching gender ideology at school. It should be parents. Parents should support their kids. They should introduce them to this concept if they wish, and they should support the kids if they are gays or if they think they are identified as trans. But there's no room for school to teach us. School is about teaching English and math, not about being gay.
Thank you so much.
Thoughts?
I think, again, courage is my thought. And I think my first thing I took a little note here is that it felt like they're listening to the concern. Like the concerns that we've been bringing up, they're actually listening. A lot of the times we bring up these concerns and then it gets misconstrued. It gets straw-manned into, wait a second, I didn't say that. And wait, what? I didn't say that. That group right there, I don't know much about them as a group. I've heard of them, but I really appreciate listening to what the concern is. It sounds like they have the same exact concerns that I do, and I have no problem with them. And that was a biological woman, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. So I have no problem with that.
They are very, very vocal. They actually got banned on TikTok before, not TikTok, I'm sorry, on Twitter before Elon Musk took over for protesting against the movement. You would think that these are this is supposed to be a protected group, but you're not protected because you're going against the agenda, right? When you go against the agenda, now you fall into the right-wing extremists, even though they're more than likely not right. Listen, this was a normal gay person, and I know that's an oxymoron, but it's a classic gay person, right? It's classic in the sense that it's me and my partner, who's an adult, right? I might not agree with that life choice, but guess what? That's not my life. It is what it is. That's between you two. I'm okay with that. I have a problem when you start dancing nude or almost nude or semi-nude or whatever, showing your whatever that person was doing on stage to children. Listen, as a father of teenage boys, and they're minors, I cannot legally take them to a strip club. I can't.
Yeah.
A heterosexual strip club, like regular women dancing, so on, I can't do that. So why are children allowed to go to a drag show? That make sense to me.
Yeah, it's straight up about that agenda and their hidden agenda. They're not open about it normally. But I think the bigger agenda, even than the coming for your kids, they're not open that this is a corporate politics, Democrat-oriented, globalist to me, because they're doing the same thing in Ireland and other countries all over the world. That's not organic. We all don't have the same culture to be acting the same way. They tried to force feed it in Japan. I believe AOC went to Japan and tried to force feed it there, and they're like, wait, we don't do that. But they're trying to rise it on up, and it's just another way of control with a. I hate how they hijack the rainbow, but now they own the rainbow. If I see a rainbow, I'm not thinking God, Christianity. I'm thinking, what do we have going on here? And I think their agenda is clear. And if you're not with their agenda, it doesn't matter if you're gay, black, or whatever else. You're out, and you could get arrested. You could get fired from your job. Anything.
So we've been complaining about this issue for a while now, and obviously I don't mean me and you, but I'm saying in general. How do we fight back against it? I think, in my personal opinion, stop feeding the monster, right? Look for alternate. If it's entertainment, look for alternate entertainment. I don't know if Mark Dice got to elaborate in that video, but Daily Wire has a show that is geared towards children, and it's just normal stuff. It's healthy things for your children, right? I came across a platform on Facebook last night, as a matter of fact, called True Play Games. Regular games that don't have anything to do with what the left is doing and anything that's inappropriate. And then I also saw another one called Brave Books, and it was being promoted by the guy who did Hercules. What's that guy from Hercules?
Kevin Sorbo.
Kevin Sorbo.
I usually have one. I don't have one here. I subscribe to it. I highly recommend Brave Books.
There you go. That's awesome. So I think that as consumers, let's stop feeding that monster and put our money and support behind things that are not, poisoning our children.
Prime Animations. Yeah, let's put it. Yeah, I think you're right. Put your money behind people who do not hate you. And then also there's a couple things. One, there's a lot of intra-squad beef, I would call it, between maybe groups like Gays Against Groomers and maybe another faction. And I think tension is going to happen. But to me, defining it is, you got to define who's your kind of your political adversary here. And it hurts me to see people who I don't think they should be political adversaries, kind of going at it, taking each other down when there's a bigger issue here, because the thing that they have is they're all in lockstep. They concentrate their power. That was in Austin, Texas. They did that drag queen show with the kids. So they're in Texas, but they concentrate power in the cities. So they're in every state of the union. They have a big city, at least one, and they've got a lot of power in the federal government as well. I think I don't want to get too radical here, but I've said it many times. I think we're at the point where we must get a divorce. I cannot stay married to someone who's going to lie to me about these things. This is not funny to me. You're lying to me. You're a threat to me. I don't know what else you would support. Most of these people don't have power, but they would support power being used against me, not because of any type of just system, but because they just feel like I'm insensitive or something like that. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but ultimately, I don't think this thing is salvageable.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So here are my final thoughts. Bill Maher questioning the movement is appropriate given the assessment he brought forth to the table, right? Tucker Carlson makes it clear that this was adult focused. The concern I'm talking about, right? The concern was adult focused. He said that if there were two adults, we wouldn't care, right? But because it's children, then I do care, right? Because that shouldn't happen in front of children. You know, the reality is that, you know, Gays Against Groomers has deduced that this movement, these people that are targeting these children, they're pedophiles, they're predators, they're disguising, they're using the community, their community, as a way, they've infiltrated, as a way to disguise themselves because of the protection status. So now it allows them to target children freely, and you can't criticize me because if you do, then you're a bigot, you're a homophobe, you're a transphobe. And so what happens is everybody, it's no different than the race card, you know, when minorities use the race card. Oh, you're against me because you're racist against black people. No, it has nothing to do with that. I can have a disagreement. In this scenario, it's a little bit different. You're targeting children. This has nothing to do with you as a grown adult, right? And I think what's interesting when you take into account the story behind the Sound of Freedom movie, and I did an episode on that. You know, how Hollywood tried to bury that film and anybody that got involved in that film. You look at the human trafficking industry and it becomes really clear and really sickening that there's a hunger for pedophilia in the entire world, specifically in this country. And it's disgusting. And it seems that we have a lot more monsters than I realized and a lot of monster supporters, which is the most shocking of all. What are your thoughts?
I think the apathy, we can't be, and we're putting ourselves at risk speaking about this stuff as far as, you know, you're financially and I even think legally and all kinds of stuff. The big thing that covers us is that we don't have millions of people watching. If that were the case, then there'd be serious problems. That's why you see them go after Alex Jones and others. But if you feel what we're feeling, and you're afraid to speak out respectfully, then we're not going to get out of this. It's just, they really feed off of apathy. I do not think if you authentically poll every citizen, not just voters, every citizen in this country, you would have support for this, for even just the LGBTQ movement in general. But if you take out the people who are apathetic, then yeah, I think you could have 50-50 or more. So I encourage you, you have to assess your own risk. I don't want to tell anybody to make a risk they can't afford to take, but it doesn't change that apathy is keeping us in a tough position.
Yep, I think the reason why I wanted to do this episode, I've always loved children since I was a little kid myself. I always pictured myself growing up being a dad, having a son, right? I never pictured myself to have 5 kids, but you know, and I always grew up with kids are innocent, kids are to be protected, kids are to be loved, they're to be nourished and brought up, and so I think that the preservation of that innocence is more important than any of the potential risks, to be honest with you. And that's why we're doing this video. You and me as parents, you know, I feel sorry for all these kids that are getting duped. I feel bad for them. And that's why we're doing this video, to expose it. There's another side of the story. So before making that decision, if you're a parent, before making that decision, look at all the facts, look at all the details, look at all the stories. Don't just look at one side. If there's a child thinking about it, talk to other people. Talk to people who went through it and came out of it, just so that you can hear the other side of the story. Absolutely. Encourage that. And I don't try to force anybody along any path. I just give them my perspective, and I stay open-minded. I always leave room to be wrong. I'm very confident in the positions we talked about today, but I leave room to be wrong or to adapt or to evolve. And but here's what I'll say. I don't want to end on a dark note. I think this is a good note, but I am not for toxic tolerance. So I'm not going to tolerate you just because you're black or you're gay. That ain't my line. Do we have a close enough view of the Constitution, meaning, and laws? So if you think, for example, that kids watching grown men or women dancing on stage like that is okay, should be legal, we're not compatible. Right. Osiris, thank you so much for joining. I know this was a long one, but I really, really appreciate you, brother. Obviously, there was a lot of good information here, and I really appreciate you coming onto the show and giving me your insight. Peace. Thanks. Take care, everyone. God bless America. God bless you all. Bye-bye.